Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she's never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are... CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Goddess Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh. Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentler tongue.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive part, whether he can issue The president's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would
can't?
Be a gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse. A presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, J.B. Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, J.B. Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
Jimmy
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he
about
get a pardon
this.
also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that committee?
The seeking of pardons is...
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. You're going to condemn that pardon.
Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama-Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Most rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to out and out deny anything. That's the weird.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Select a Boy asks, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Have it got to say, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Trump has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can make it.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about. And even more, the ones I didn't even get to, I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Well, it's there's a lot of stupid stuff on the internet. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where sometimes that 72-hour rule can come in handy for some people. And some people just need to shut their pie holes and stop drawing attention to themselves, or people are going to figure out, well, you know, they're going to figure out maybe you have a role in a lot of the problems. You know what I'm saying? So I got to tell you, it's kind of wild how sometimes the internet gets out way ahead of itself, and there's going to need to be some corrections for some people. And this goes for some people on what I would describe as my side. Because you just get out there and start, people get out there and want to be first or just get things wrong. So again, sometimes that 72-hour rule comes in handy. And then, but then there's the people who, I'm seeing stuff still where people are trying to point fingers and they just don't understand that some things just don't happen immediately, and they seem to think they do. So I know that it doesn't make sense yet, but it will as we go along today. First in the chat today, Mr. Rexion Puerto Rico. Whoops, I gave you the wrong music. I'm so used to hitting that button, but anyway, you get the bell because you're first. Let's go. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg, Kara Soldier, Kevin S., Resolute Germ, my favorite Canadian Jaeger pony, Amazing Disgrace is in the house. Also, a non 1, 2, 3, and Renee Mayette. Good morning, Sapphire Dragon. That's everyone who's seems to be in the chat already. Now, there's certainly, it says there's only 16 people here so far. Me starting in time is probably a shock to everyone's soul. So, you know, just me actually getting the show started at the top of the hour is amazing. And I actually might get through some of the stuff that I got on the list today. As you know, I will always drop all the links into the in the chat and the description at the end of the show. So anything we talk about today will be available to you post the show. Also, just to remind you, if you haven't shared the stream yet, please do. I appreciate those who have already. In fact, let's take a look at that. I didn't get through much of the trending topics today either, but we'll get there. So let's see. Let's start down here. Thank you to the people who tweeted out the show. Somnambule Nation, of course, every day on it like a grommet. I had to think of something that rhymed with on it. You know what grommet is, right? Isn't that one of those claymation figures? Anyway, thank you for tweeting out the show before me. Excuse me. Also, Simon Wilkins does the same, as you can see. And we got a few Let's Go. Somnambule Nation, let's do this. All right. And also, Reaction Puerto Rico. Feel that? It's Friday. It smells like Friday. It smells like freedom. Hello, Tyre Alexander. The Scourge. Good morning, sir. And then let's see what else. Thank you, Resolute Germ, Amazing Disgrace, Reaction Puerto Rico, Somnambule Nation for retweeting my tweet. Did I do the right one, by the way? Yes, I did. Okay. Sometimes I forget to change I just have a little template that I change the YouTube link, and then sometimes I forget to change that link. Also, thank you, Amazing Disgrace, dropping a little Kermit the Frog there. Rock on. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I love it. Thank you, Resolute Germ. Ho! For those who understand. And also, Live the Salt Tears, Renee Mayette, thank you very much. There's our Let's Roll. And somebody else, let's see, CG, thank you, CG, the big Let's Go. So there we go. So everyone's talking about this plane crash. and it is still. Shut up, Siri. I didn't say anything to you. Close. Sometimes Siri hears me when I'm not really talking to it. How do you turn that off? There we go. Okay. So anyway, a lot of people talking about this plane crash, and I'm fascinated. First of all, the desperation to blame the president. Holy shit, that scared the shit out of me. Well, thank you, GunFox61, and welcome to the show. I didn't know I had this up that loud. Holy shit. Siri reporting me to the feds. Ain't that right? Thank you. We have a Streamlabs Superstar sponsor today so far is Mr. GunFox61.
You are the
Yay!
new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Dropping a link, and and it's very appropriate because it's about what we're talking about today. So there you go. Oh man. Oh no, this is sad. Okay, I'm gonna put this early in the links today. Thank you, GunFox. We're definitely getting to that one today. So, anyway, a lot of people jump the gun on so many things, and it's unfortunate because people, everyone wants to be first. Everyone wants to get their grift on or whatever, including me. And I tried to be careful yesterday not to speculate or put anything out that was incorrect. And so I didn't really talk about the pilots. I don't, the whole DEI thing everyone's talking about, but that got people riled up. I'll tell you that. And it's not, the problem isn't exactly what people are making out to be. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's get into some of the things that are happening today. And it's been a while since I've done this. We have a Catholic feast. Apparently, it's the feast of St. John Bosco, whose feast day is January 31st. Apparently, what is this? There are two things the devil is deadly afraid of: fervent communions and the frequent visits to the Blessed Sacrament. So anyway, I'm trying to figure out, okay, here we go. Today here it is. Today we Catholics celebrate the feast day of St. John Bosco. Let us be reminded of his words. The power of evil men lives on the cowardice of the good. Lord, teach us then to be good and be brave, that no evil men and their lies may win over us. Interesting. I'm trying to figure out why this guy's a saint, but that sounds pretty good. Let's see. Okay, he was a priest, educator, all-around legend, grew up poor, became a priest, and dedicated his life to helping kids, especially ones everyone else gave up on. Founder of the Salesians, and used kindness and even sleight-of-hand magic tricks to teach. St. John, okay, whatever. So I'm, me not being Catholic, I don't necessarily know what that means, but that is the Catholic feast of the day. Good morning, by the way. Some more people showed up. Well, maybe just one. Bookworm Addict. Oh, and number one is here. Good to see. All right, cool. Also trending. Now, I'm not sure why Richard Grenell is trending, but he's tweeting a lot. I'll tell you that. Someone here says, this is Rick Scott. That's not Senator Rick Scott. That's some other Rick Scott. No, Florida U.S. Senator Rick Scott. It is him. He says, I hope during today's visit, the only thing Richard Grenell focuses on is demanding the return of the kidnapped Americans, ensuring that Maduro takes back the thugs and gang members in our country, and finding a new country for Maduro, Diosdado, and anyone else involved. So here's the news. Richard Grenell, Donald Trump's special envoy for special missions, is expected to meet with Venezuela's authoritarian president Nicolas Maduro in the country on Friday, according to CNN. He's going down there. I guess they're going to send a bunch of, I guess they're planning on sending a whole bunch of Venezuelan refugees back to Venezuela. And so it's fascinating. I'm not sure I'm not 100% sure what else is going on. But he seems to be tweeting a lot about Kash Patel. So, for example, he said, I'll give it to Senator Whitehouse. Kash Patel doesn't look like any other FBI director the U.S. has ever had. True. He never would have met someone looking like Kash at his white-only beach club. Oh, my God. Shots fired. So if you didn't watch it, I watched some of the Kash Patel confirmation hearings. Holy shit. The Democrats do not like him. And the Republicans were seem to be fairly supportive of him. So it's going to be interesting to see if this is going to be another one of those 50-50s where, like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski say no, but it's kind of a show for the Republicans. They'll have J.D. Vance come in and break a 50-50 tie. That may be the case. And then also same with Tulsi Gabbard, same with RFK Jr. I'm not going to play any of the clips from those, but it was crazy. The return migrants should be mailed like items no one orders. Oh man. That's tough, according to Addict. Also, thank you, Gun Fox. Another Hamilton in the tip jar with a article from the BBC, not the good kind, of course. And okay, this fits right into today's topics too. So we'll get there. Yeah, they're a little upset about how Donald Trump was. They're saying he blamed diversity policies after this air tragedy. I think the reason is because, well, I'll get it later, but I promise. Not because that there are people of diversity in these positions. Because, look, I wanted to make this point. Just because someone is a minority or a woman or whatever in the positions doesn't mean that they're not qualified to be there. Okay, that's but what the problem is, and it seems, and there's a couple articles that talk about this, is not that they were hiring people that fit their diversity needs or wants or whatever desires, but that they were rejecting other people because they didn't meet the diversity requirements. Now, if you haven't followed this real closely, apparently we're short in the United States about 3,000 air traffic controllers, the goal that they want to be at. And a lot of people are making this claim that, oh, Trump, froze hiring and Trump did this and he fired the FAA director and the TSA, whatever. If Trump did that, which certainly he probably did, that happened less than 2 weeks ago. Which means anything that happened in the last few days regarding air safety or, employment levels, staffing levels, whatever, anything that happened in this let's say the first month, say the first 6 months, because it's going to take them a long time to hire those, right? Anything that happened is an inherited problem from the last administration, not the current administration, the last administration. So all these people trying to blame Trump for this and saying, oh, this happened on your watch, blah, blah, blah. He inherited this shit. So it can't be Trump's fault. Again, and I can't even say that I can blame any specific person for any of this other than the pilots, the air traffic controllers, the people who were monitoring the situation and controlling this. But apparently, and I can't confirm anything because there is no full report yet. But the speculation is that the people who were working in the tower weren't fully staffed in the tower. We don't know why the helicopter might have been on the wrong trajectory. We don't know why the plane and the helicopter were, going to the same spot in the sky at the same time. But that certainly has nothing to do with the president, who's been president for 2 weeks, the transportation secretary, who had been in the job for 14 hours. None of this is from this administration. None of the problems are from this administration. They're all left over from the prior administration. So there are certain people in the prior administration and other Democrats who are are saying some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. That anyone with a brain would go, what is that? How is what you are saying have anything to do with this crash? Okay. Good morning, K-Shell and Kevin S. Kevin S. heard it was a Trans Am. Nope. That's one of those internet phone tag rumors that has been debunked. So let me get back into the, I only clipped a couple trending topics today. Here we go. So also I said Richard Grinnell's trending. BRICS is trending. The BRICS nations, which I don't even know which nations are the BRICS nations, but apparently Donald Trump has threatened tariffs against the BRICS countries if they try to replace the U.S. dollar. So let's see here. The idea that BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over, we're going to require a commitment from these seemingly hostile countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty U.S. dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling in the wonderful U.S. economy. They can find another sucker nation. There's no chance that BRICS will replace the U.S. dollar in international trade or anywhere else. And any country that tries should say hello to tariffs and goodbye to America. Some people are obviously skeptical of that. Coming from the man who argued that with the report that Spain was a part of BRICS. Yes, Spain's not part of BRICS. That was a mistake. So anyway, so Trump is using a new threat to BRICS countries. That's why it's trending. And the countries, wait, the U.S. is part of BRICS. What? Israel isn't. Let's see. So anyway, that's people are talking about that. I wish I could understand if that is an effective strategy. It probably is. Why? Well, because right now the U.S. is probably the biggest consumer of products from a lot of these countries. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, someone here says the BRICS bloc has over 4 billion people living in it and an economy almost triple the size of the United States. Arrogant, clueless, isolationist Yanks like Trump actually think it's still the 80s and that the U.S. is a global economic hegemon that can do whatever it wants. I guess we'll find out. President Trump wants to combat BRICS as he should, so when presented with an opportunity to deal with a major blow to BRICS by supporting the Iranian people who wish to be an ally with America and not embolden Putin or China, he should take it. I don't know. I'm not sure about that either. So, burgeoning BRICS expands to 54% of the world population and 42% of global GDP. What changed? Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria, has joined BRICS. It's the second biggest economy in Africa, the biggest oil producer. Here's how significant that is. This is from RT India. But again, well, let's see. So still people talking about BRICS. So I wish I was more familiar with it. There's a lot there. You can check out the thread. Moving on. By the way, just a reminder, today is Friday Q&A. And you can see the link up there in the top of the chat. Ask me anything. And boy, when I say anything, you know that means anything. All right, let's get in. We're going to get into the biggest topic that's going around right now. And I want to dispel a few things that have gone out on the internet that probably just jumped the gun, and it kind of happens a lot when people want to be first in the news, whatever, and everyone wants to speculate. Good morning, Eagle, by the way. Nice to see you this moment. At this moment, BRICS is not a problem. Well, not yet. U.S. is not a part of BRICS. However, most of the BRICS is mostly broke-ass nations that GDP is less than most states. Yeah, look, we're still the world's one of the world's top large economies, right? And I know, especially countries that are in BRICS, like China, like India, still depend on a lot of our economy to keep their economies going. So it doesn't behoove them to destroy or even manipulate our economy. So I'm not convinced that the whole BRIC system is going to do that. But it should always be a concern when almost half the world's population seems to be rejecting what the other half of the world is doing. Okay, so we'll get there. I don't know enough. So let's talk about other things trending, and it's mostly about this plane crash. And there is some funny things. The whole thing about the pilot. Let's talk about the name that has popped up, and I want to make it very clear. The name Joe Ellis, not related to my friend Joe Ellis in Dallas, has popped up, and someone's saying that this is the pilot of the Apache helicopter. Some people saying that this person is transgender. There's a whole bunch of shit going on. Let's dispel that, because that name has popped up. And in fact, this Joe Ellis, some people have been saying that, so the pilot was trans. Is it official? Wouldn't be surprised. The pilot of the Black Hawk has been identified as Chief Warrant Officer Joe Ellis, a transgender woman. Joe Ellis served in the Virginia National Guard 15 years in transition while serving as a pilot. Joe has been making radicalized anti-Trump statements on social media. No, that is not true. And in fact, Joe Ellis herself has addressed this, who says some craziness has happened on the internet, and I'm being named as one of the pilots of the DC crash. Please report any account you post or post you see. It's insulting to the victims and families of those lost, and they deserve a little better than this BS. Now, I don't know, and I the idea that Joe Ellis is transgender, I don't think she is. Now, someone here, Sarah Higdon, who is transgender, says, can people stop spreading the fake news that the pilot of the Black Hawk was Joe Ellis, who is still alive and posted on Facebook? Can we at least wait until the names are released? It's clear a lot of people don't care about the truth, but their narrative. And I'm going to agree with that. A lot of people jumped the damn gun. They haven't released the names of the third pilot. The third pilot who was in training and was not flying the helicopter. We still don't know the name, and we don't know why they haven't released all the names of the people on the helicopter. But, I guess maybe it's so they can notify their family or something. So anyway, someone here says, all right, I hate commenting on politics and whatnot, but this fake claim a transgender pilot, Joe Ellis, was the pilot of the helicopter crash that killed 67 people is the number 2 trending topic on this site. Joe is alive and posting. This is a clear smear attempt. Yeah, so anyone who believes that, just stop. That is not, it is not. In fact, somebody here says the person mentioned Joe Ellis is alive and well and was not the pilot of that crashed the helicopter, as evidenced by their own social media posts. So stop. Stop it. Stop it. And someone here someone puts this interview. Breaking. Last interview of the Black Hawk pilot Joe Ellis. Was this crash intentional? Just one day before piloting a Black Hawk that collided in midair. No, this is wrong. She was not the pilot. So they do have an interview with this Joe Ellis, but I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. And I don't. Here, let's see something here.
Sure, yeah. So in 2009, I went to basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and then went to my job school, MOS.
Okay, and I don't know. The pilot may. Oh, by the way, that Joe Ellis may be transgender. I don't know. I don't care. It wasn't the pilot. Let's just put it that way. Wait. As a lich, I'm skeptical. Dead people post all the time. Biden, for example. Yes, Joe Biden still does. Does. Hello, GDSOB, by the way. So anyway, okay. What? She was in the Virginia National Guard. The Department of Defense confirmed that it was an active duty unit that was involved in the crash. Anyway, so this is crazy. It's not this person, okay? And viral post came that a black helicopter following the crash was a transgender woman named Joellis, who deliberately caused the incident are false and baseless. So let's just dispel that, okay? Let's start with that one. Let's move on. So the word pilot itself is trending. We don't know. And there's people here claiming cisgender straight white pilot, airplane pilots, cis straight white helicopter pilots, cis straight white air traffic controllers, cis straight white FAA administrator fired by cis straight white president and cis straight white billionaire. Okay, let's see. A quick check on how the FAA began a pilot program during Trump's first term to hire air traffic controllers with the conditions that he criticized yesterday. Okay, let's see what Caitlin Collins has to say here. Now we're going to go to the articles. By the way, I'm going to see what they say because, of course, CNN is going to go with he claimed something without evidence.
We don't know about the collision that claimed 67 lives here last night. But with the investigation only a few hours old, President Trump entered the
She still doesn't have an upper lip. It's really weird.
White House briefing room today, took a moment of silence for the victims, and then almost immediately began to speculate, while providing no evidence, that diversity in hiring and policies of prior administrations somehow caused this disaster.
Okay. Again, let's remind you, it's not the people who were hired that he was talking about, but the fact that we don't have enough air traffic controllers because they may have rejected some people. We'll get to that later.
Then it's a group within the FAA, another story, determined that the workforce was too white, that they had concerted efforts to get the administration to change that and to change it immediately. This was in the Obama administration just prior to my getting there. And we took care of African Americans, Hispanic Americans. We took care of everybody at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's one of the reasons I won. But they actually came out with a directive, too white.
Now, it's interesting that she cuts it off there, and there's certainly articles out there that you can find that are saying that they were rejecting, in fact, there's a lawsuit because they were rejecting thousands of people who passed the exams to go into air traffic controller school based on a different guideline for hiring people. Okay. And it just happened to be because of the color of their skin, which wasn't, didn't fit their diversity goals. But let's see how she continues here.
Now, the president has access to more information than almost anyone, but in a similar fashion to how he reacted to the New Orleans terror attack, falsely linking it to migrants, today he suggested that diversity initiatives were to blame, even as the bodies of these survivors were still being pulled from the Potomac. We even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies.
I would blame the last administration for the large, what do you call it? The lack of 3,000, the shortage of 3,000 air traffic controllers. And so are these people doing double duty? Are they trying to track too many things because they don't have staffing? And that probably doesn't just go back one administration. It goes back through the Trump administration prior. It goes through the Obama administration. Where nobody along the way saw that we were not getting our staffing levels up. Okay. So it can span for a long time, but certainly there are certain people who are criticizing Donald Trump right now that shouldn't be. I'll get to it. Promise.
And seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter, don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane? You think that's going to make a difference?
It doesn't. His speculation doesn't make a difference for those people, or their families, because it's not related to them. It's not blaming those people on the plane.
As for evidence of his claims, Trump offered this.
On DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power, you have to go by psychological quality, and psychological quality is a very important element of it.
Now, why would he have said that? Because there was, now I'll see if I can find the article, that the FAA had a goal in hiring more people with different kinds of disabilities or whatever. Look, diversity doesn't just mean racial minorities. And, obviously the biggest recipients of DEI in a lot of these companies, it's been proven that it's white women and other various variable sexual orientations and or proclivities, right? So obviously but unfortunately when everyone hears the words DEI, the first thing they think of is black people, or no, that's usually the first thing to think of. And again, the goals of the FAA, as far as their diversity hiring, have been to fill in more people that fit diversity categories. So they were rejecting thousands of applicants because of that, when they have a shortage of 3,000 air traffic controllers. I think that's the article that he read. He actually pointed it out. I hope I can find it. I should have pulled it up today.
Here's what is true. The standards and training to become an air traffic controller in the United States, which are the highest in the world, are relatively straightforward. You must be a citizen, speak English, be younger than 31, and have either enough work experience or a college education. There is no mention of race or gender. The president referenced...
Now, this is fascinating that she said this. I'm done with this particular article. Let's go to, let's see here. See if we can find it real quick. Trying to think what I looked up today. Just a second here. Hang on. What the hell did I do with it? I can't find it. No, not Joe Ellis. Transgender. Oh, transgender is trending too. And one of the pilots, Andrew Evans, is trending. We'll just skip that. But, oh, I gotta get these articles too. Where is it? Maybe I bookmarked it. I hope I did. Yes. Here we go. Oh, speaking of dumb things, as far as some of the tweets. So here's the Democrat talking points that came out real quick. So this Chris Jackson here at the top. Trump is blaming everyone for this crash, yet no reporters is asking how his decision to fire the heads of the TSA, Coast Guard, and Aviation Security Committee, along with freezing TSA hiring, may have contributed. Now, we talked about this yesterday, how those are completely irrelevant to a plane crash. The heads of the TSA, you mean the people who check bags and make sure that the security in the airport is, being adhered to? The Coast Guard? No, it has nothing to do with it. The Aviation Security Committee? Again, nothing to do with it. TSA, nothing to do with it. Okay? They don't control the air traffic controllers. That's dumb. That's a dumb talking point. But I'm guessing that, and all the so-called influencers were saying the same shit yesterday. Okay, so which means that Democratic talking point went out. Then you have someone like Pete Buttigieg who says, despicable. As families grieve, Trump should be leading, not lying. Well, what exactly was the lie he told? We put safety first, drove down close calls. Oh, really? Grew air traffic control, except you're 3,000 employees short, and had 0 commercial airline crash fatalities out of millions of flights on our watch. President Trump now oversees the military and the FAA. One of his first acts was to fire and suspend some of the key personnel who help keep our skies safe. Hey, hold up, Pete. Wait a minute. This is hilarious. Time for the president to show actual leadership and explain what he will do to prevent this from happening again. I think Pete Buttigieg, as in the title of the show today, doth protest too much. Look, if you think 2 weeks into the Trump administration, anything that he did between the 20th and today had anything to do with this crash, and any of those things that you just said had anything to do with it, remember, this is all inherited. It's an inherited problem. And if you think that it would have fixed it within, what is it? 11 days in. You think he would have fixed all the inherited problems within 11 days? You got to look in the mirror, Pete. Remember, by the way, that big train crash that it took you 10 days to get to in Ohio, you need to just shut your whole house. What I'm trying to say, your whole pie hole. Just keep it shut. Okay. Now, a lot of people responding to that, to Pete Buttigieg. FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. What? Really? That was part of it? Other people here. There were, by the way, also over the last 2 years, the number of near misses, especially in 2023 and 2024, were off the charts comparatively to be prior. So the idea that he says, it's funny because he said, drove down close calls. Well, let's check. Where's the facts on that? Staffing at air control tower was not normal, according to FAA reports. Staffing at the air control tower at Ronald Reagan Airport was not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic, according to an internal preliminary Federal Aviation Administration report reviewed by the New York Times. The controller who was handling helicopters Wednesday night was also instructing planes that were landing and departing from the airport runway. The Times reported those assignments are typically assigned to 2 controllers. So why was there only 1 controller in the tower? That's certainly nothing that the acting FAA director or the former FAA director that left, or a new FAA director would have had any control over. But certainly that hiring should have been done over the last 4 years, right? Let's see. Air control tower at Reagan Airport has been understaffed for years with 19 fully certified controllers as of September 2023. However, staffing targets set by the FAA and the controllers union call for 30. So they're down 11 controllers just for that particular particular location. Also, head of United Airlines says air traffic controller shortage is a major problem. This is from December 3rd, 2024. Whose administration? Who was the transportation secretary at the time? CEO Scott Kirby said there's an ongoing shortage of controllers, which is leading to delays across the country. Now, and again, so people here are saying, oh, this was on Trump's watch. There is blood on Trump's and Hegseth's hands. What? They inherited this. So this is just stupid. It's a stupid line of attack. And especially Pete Buttigieg, of all people, needs to sit the fuck down. What are you talking about, Pete? So anyway, And by the way, like I said, all the same influencer types protect Kamala Harris. 1 week before this tragic American Airlines Black Hawk plane crash in D.C., the Trump administration put a hiring freeze on traffic controllers. What does that have to do with current staffing levels? And he didn't put a hiring freeze on traffic controllers. That's a lie, by the way. A heartbreaking reminder of how important it is we prioritize public safety over politics in this country. Wait a minute. Why did we have a shortage on controllers 10 days into the administration? That sounds like a leftover problem to me. So, all right, let me get into some of the articles. We'll start with ones Gunfox gave to me, just talking about some of the victims, which is maybe something that isn't being talked about enough. All 67 people on board American Airlines regional jet and U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter that collided in midair Wednesday night are presumed dead, a grim tragedy that has left a heartbreaking trail of mourning families in its wake. The somber day will be remembered as the deadliest aviation disaster in the U.S. since 2001. As details of the disturbing catastrophe emerge and additional bodies are identified, the full weight and impact of the lives lost grows heavier. Here are some of the victims the tragedy identified so far. First Officer Sam Lilly and Captain Jonathan Campos. Sam Lilly, a young fiance awaiting his fall wedding, was piloting the American Airlines flight that was minutes away from a safe landing when a collision with an Army helicopter plunged both aircrafts and everyone on board into Virginia's Potomac River. I was so proud when Sam became a pilot, Lilly's father, Timothy Lilly, said in a Facebook post Thursday. Now it hurts so bad I can't even cry myself to sleep. I know I'll see him again, but my heart is breaking. Lilly, 28, is the first officer on the flight, his father said in a post, and was doing great in his career and his personal life. It is so devastating to lose someone that is loved so much, Timothy Lilly said. This is undoubtedly the worst day of my life. The grieving father, who served as a helicopter pilot in the Army for 20 years, said he believes the commercial jet involved in the incident was following proper procedures. From what I can see, the guys turned right into the jet. I think the PSA jet was doing everything right, Lilly told Fox 5 Atlanta. The Army pilot made a grave error. It hurts me because those are my brothers, and now my son is dead. Jonathan Campos, the captain of the American flight, was also killed, according to a fellow pilot who knew Campos personally. The colleague said that Campos became a captain for the airlines in 2022. He was an amazing person, Campos family member Edward Campos told CNN. He loved flying, and he especially loved his family. Ian Epstein, 53, was a flight attendant on the American Airlines flight involved in the deadly collision. His sister, Robbie Bloom, confirmed to CNN. My brother was a wonderful, wonderful man. He loved life. He loved traveling. He loved his job. He loved his family, and he will be sorely missed. Epstein had been a flight attendant for several years, leaves behind 2 children and 2 stepchildren, according to Bloom. He made friends everywhere he went. He used to talk about people he met on the plane as if they were his new friends. Garrick McFadden, a friend and former colleague of Epstein, told CNN's Laura Coates that Epstein was a ball of vibrant, colorful energy. McFadden also noticed how tight-knit the flight attendant community is and how the loss of Epstein hits home. We love our job. We get up every day, and a lot of us do it because we just love people, regardless of pay, McFadden said. But Ian definitely was one of the greatest examples of that. I will miss him. I'm not going to go through it all, but I'm going to leave this link in here for all the people that they have named. Some of the other names: Azra Hussein Raza was one of several victims killed. Her father-in-law, Dr. Hashim Raza, told CNN. A daughter of Indian immigrants, Hassan Raza graduated with honors in 2020 from Indiana University and married her college sweetheart in 2023. Michael Stovall and Jesse Pitcher, along with other friends returning home from their annual hunting trip to Kansas, according to family members, also perished. Stovall's mother, Christina Stovall, told CNN affiliate WINK that he was an amazing father and son. Civil rights attorney and 2 young legal associates, Harvard-trained civil rights attorney Kia Duggins and her 2 bright law associates, Sarah Lee Best and Elizabeth Ann Keyes, are also among the victims. Duggins, an attorney at the Civil Rights Corps in Washington, was returning home visiting her family in Wichita when she died in the collision. 6 of the U.S. figure skating athletes, coaches, and family members perished. And then there's, those are the ones they featured on CNN. Thanks, Gunfox, for that article. Gunfox with another one. Another Hamilton. We'll drop that in the links over here, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Gunfox also sent me this article from the BBC. Combative Trump blames diversity policies after air tragedy. Now, I want to, let's see, hang on a second. I do need to find this article because I want to explain, or at least show, where is it? We'll find it. Hang on. I want to find the Washington Times article. Here it is. Let's see. Turned away. Okay, hang on. Got a couple different, we got a few different articles. All right, so one is just an editorial from the Washington Times. All right, let's go. Okay, back to the BBC article real quick. Combative Trump blames diversity policies after air tragedy. Donald Trump stood before the White House press room cameras on Thursday to perform a traditional presidential duty, consoler-in-chief during a time of tragedy. He said the country was mourning and shared his condolences during an hour of anguish, and paid tribute to the first responders and the victims. Then he sharply pivoted, providing yet another reminder of how his new presidency is going to be very different. It will be combative, it will be unscripted, and it will be quick to point the finger of blame. We do not know what led to the crash, but we have some very strong opinions and ideas, he said. Then he speculated without giving evidence, they like to say that lowered standards for hiring of air traffic controllers in the Federal Aviation Administration during the Joe Biden and Barack Obama presidencies may have been a factor of the disaster. Trump and his fellow Republicans have regularly attacked diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the federal government. His team has made undoing such programs a core part of the first days in office, saying they have divided Americans and weakened the country. And less than 24 hours after the first major U.S. disaster in more than a decade, Trump, along with his secretaries of transportation and defense and his vice president, took turns hammering their point, even as they provided no evidence that federal hiring practices had any connection to this particular crash. Well, if it was the tower fully staffed, that would be an issue, wouldn't it? Asked by a reporter how he could blame diversity programs for the crash when investigations had only begun, President responded, "Because I have common sense." At other moments, he acknowledged there was no confirmed cause, saying it's all under investigation. Trump said the hiring guidance for the FAA's diversity and inclusion program, including a preference for those with disabilities, including hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism. An archived version of a website for the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring program that appears to have been taken down in December included a similar list. Whoa, so wait a minute. Wait. It included a similar list? And it included a similar list? So wait a minute. Didn't they just say that there was no evidence? Well, granted, he didn't cite the site. But anyway, an archived version website of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring program that appears to have been taken down included a similar list. The agency was seeking people with targeted disabilities that the federal government was prioritizing for recruitment at the time. Well, Wait a minute. You just said there was no evidence of it. But it's unclear how that drive to make recruitment more diverse may have impacted the ranks of air traffic controllers who President Trump said needed all to be naturally talented geniuses. The FAA has more than 35,000 employees, only a fraction of which perform that role. In response to criticism over diversity in hiring practices last year, the agency released a statement asserting that all new hires must meet rigorous qualifications that vary by position. The agency has faced criticism over a longstanding shortage of air traffic controllers, particularly after COVID-19 pandemic caused massive disruptions in commercial air travel. Reports suggest that staffing levels at Reagan Airport on Wednesday might have been compromised. Well, wait a minute. Make up your minds. Make up your minds. In his remarks, Trump specifically blamed Biden administration Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, whom he described with an obscenity. What obscenity did he say? Did he say it was a fag? What was the obscenity? I'm curious. And said had ran the department into the ground. And then Buttigieg defended his record on social media, calling Trump's comments despicable. Okay, so we read that. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer also criticized Trump's comments. It's one thing for internet pundits to spew off conspiracies. It's another for the president of the United States to throw out idle speculation as bodies are still being recovered. Okay, well, let's look at the article that that may have come from. Okay, flashback. FAA turned away qualified air traffic controllers based solely on race. What? The disturbing rise in near misses and this is from February 1st. This is 2024. This is from February 1st, 2024. Okay, so deeply in that other administration. The disturbing rise in near misses at our nation's airports is no accident. I thought Pete said that they were lowering the number of near misses. A class action lawsuit by the Mountain States Legal Foundation has amassed a trove of documents shedding new light on an Obama-era Federal Aviation Administration initiative that rejected prospective air traffic controllers based solely on their race. The 2013 FAA document, Controllers Hiring by the Numbers, raised the issue in stark terms, asking how much of a change in job performance is acceptable to achieve what diversity goals? Well, that doesn't sound like a good idea. The failure is measured in human blood. The answer should have been none. At the beginning of the year, 5 people died at Tokyo's Haneda Airport after a jumbo jet carrying 379 travelers crashed into a smaller Coast Guard plane that had mistakenly entered the runway. It's the job of the air traffic controllers to keep this from happening. There hasn't been a fatal crash in the United States since 2009, but it's only a matter of time before the streak ends. The FAA recorded 2 serious near-miss runway incursions at Reagan National and Baltimore-Washington International last year. Vigilance is waning because the nation's air traffic control towers are woefully understaffed. The people responsible for keeping planes from smashing into one another are tired after working long mandatory overtime shifts to make up for the lack of controllers. Contributing to this shortage, the FAA temporarily put the brakes on hiring in 2012 so it could replace race-blind hiring rules with a biographical assessment stratagem that designed to hire more minorities. Look, I don't care if it doesn't mean that the minorities they hired were not qualified, but if they're not hiring enough qualified people and they block a whole set of people who, fit the bill, that's a bigger problem to me. You need to have staffing up. This quiz served as further screening of applicants who had already graduated from a 200-hour training program and achieved high scores on ATSAT, a grueling 8-hour cognitive test that measures such of the specific skills needed to do the job properly. The questionnaire sought irrelevant information such as college subject in which I received my lowest grade. Those answering history or political science received 15 points. Playing 4 or more sports in high school was worth 5 points. By contrast, holding a pilot's license, a major advantage for a controller, was only worth 2 points, and having valuable experience as an air traffic controller in the military was worth no points at all. Wow! Andrew Brigida became lead plaintiff in the lawsuit after his application was turned down despite his achieving a perfect 100% score on the ATSAT. Mr. Brigida's attorneys claimed there was a method to the madness. Race-hustling human activist groups conspired with FAA officials to create the quiz so they could let their members in on secret. Anyone could pass the biographical assessment by answering A to all but one of the questions. More than 3,000 top-performing motivated applicants lost out because they weren't members of this ethnic club. After Congress forced the FAA to drop the quiz in 2018, many former applicants reapplied and have since become controllers. Their careers were set back several years for no good reason. The trial is set for summer 2025. Oh, that trial's coming this year. I can't wait for that one. Will determine the truth of allegations already found plausible by the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia. The final ruling should be seen as an opportunity to send a message to future administrations that race-based hiring is unacceptable, especially when it sets the stage for disaster. So that was an editorial from a year ago, almost a year ago to tomorrow. So, that was under whose watch? Pete Buttigieg. All right. Well, 2018. Wait a minute. No. 2018. That was That was during the Trump administration that was still happening. Now, I wonder if anyone in the Trump administration knew that was happening. Because I'm sorry. They started this in 2012, so that was under the Obama administration. Oh, I see. Then let's see, 2024. So it's interesting. Either way, like I said, if that was carried through from the Obama administration all the way through today, that's a problem. That's a bigger problem. All right, so, all right, enough of that one. Let's move on. So let's see. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Hang on. So again, Trump, let's see, helicopter plane crash, a confluence of bad decisions that were made. Trump confirmed no one survived in the crash. I don't think we need to go through that again. I had a bunch of these articles. Now, here's what we know so far about the D.C. plane crash from PJ Media. There are a lot of questions regarding the tragic incident involving U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter and a civilian airliner in Washington, D.C. Wednesday night is approximately 8:48 p.m. While it may take some time to get all the answers, we have some updates from the Trump administration. By the way, again, a lot of the speculation, and as we talked about earlier, the speculation, especially about the pilot, was wrong. No, it was not Joe Ellis. Whether Joe Ellis is transgender or not, it still wasn't that person. The actual pilot who flew the helicopter they haven't named all three of the people on that particular craft. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth provided a detailed update regarding the accident in a video address shared on X. Hegseth reported that the helicopter was part of Bravo Company 12th Aviation Battalion at Fort Belvoir, which was conducting an annual proficiency flight training. The crew involved was experienced and equipped with night vision goggles for the evaluation. In response to the incident, Hegseth confirmed that the Army unit has been granted a 48-hour operational pause on contingency missions, allowing time for a thorough review of the circumstances surrounding the crash. Senior-level investigative team from the Aviation Safety Center has already been deployed to Washington, D.C. to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the situation. Hegseth emphasized the urgency of the investigation, stating, "We anticipate that the investigation will quickly be able to determine whether the aircraft was in the corridor and at the right altitude at the time of the incident," which I would guess that the answer to that is no. As notifications to the next of kin are still ongoing, he expressed heartfelt condolences, acknowledging it's a tragedy, a horrible loss of life for those 64 souls on that civilian airliner. With the focus shifting from the rescue operations to recovery efforts, Hegseth stated, "I can't imagine it's gone from a rescue mission to a recovery mission." He assured that the Defense Department is committed to uncovering the truth, saying, "We are actively investigating to find out what happened and why." Secretary concluded with a solemn note, "Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and their communities." as the nation grapples with this devastating loss. Also, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy addressed the media concerning the crash. Duffy began by clarifying that he currently lacks specific information regarding the experience levels of the military pilots involved. However, he emphasized the nature of the operation, stating this was classified as a training mission. So they didn't have a lot of information. We still, the investigation's ongoing. And so basically, I think we need to ask people just to stop speculating on certain aspects of it. But I can tell you, we do know that the tower was understaffed, that the person who was directing two different things was normally done by two people. Again, and so a lot of the headlines in some of the conservative media, Trump blames Biden regime DEI policy for DC plane crash, and says Pete Buttigieg ran the FAA right into the ground. Look, what I will agree with here is the staffing levels of the air traffic control are not sufficient. And that is a carryover from the prior administration. The idea that, can you blame Buttigieg directly? No, but you can certainly put that understaffing on the last administration. If they're going to try to say that that 10 days of President Trump being in office is the reason this happened, which is a ridiculous claim, let's look back to why there are problems 10 days into the Trump administration. It certainly didn't just materialize then. Unless, of course, because they keep saying, oh, the FAA director stepped down. Well, under what scenario would a current FAA director being appointed have played a role in this crash unless his name is Clark Kent? There's none. I already made that joke today, but it was on X. Here we go. Bowing to wokeness since 2010. Former air traffic controller says short staffing is attributable to the Obama administration. Former air traffic controller blamed the Obama administration Thursday on Fox News for the short staffing in the aviation industry, which repeatedly led to air collision reportedly led to the air collision at Washington Reagan National Airport. We already know the details. A military helicopter and American Airlines passenger jet collided. We know that. Internal preliminary Federal Aviation Administration safety report reviewed by the New York Times revealed that staffing at Ronald Reagan National Airport air traffic control tower was insufficient for the time of day and traffic volume when the collision occurred. The former air traffic controller Michael Pearson said on the Ingram angle that the short staffing was attributable to the Obama administration. The system has been under attack due to DEI and FAA bowing to wokeness since 2010. The lack of staffing is directly attributable to the Obama administration terminating the list of eligible, well-trained air traffic control statements in 36 universities across the country in 2013 because they were too white. That's okay. I'd like to know. I'd love to see that memo. Simultaneously, the FAA rolled out an immunity program, which Pearson said has fundamentally altered the handling of operational errors. The FAA also, at the time, implemented an immunity program, so you think you're seeing legitimate statistics. You're not. In the old days, before 2010, the immunity program, if an air traffic controller got two airplanes too close too many times, it would be decertified and retrained. Now they're not. All they have to do within 48 hours of being notified or being investigated for a potential separation error, they're called operational errors in the FAA. The controller simply has to avail themselves of this program that gives them immunity. The former controller said the immunity prevents the FAA from retraining those who repeatedly demonstrate incompetence. The FAA cannot retrain these people. If somebody has a repetitive instance of malfeasance or lack of competency, the FAA, because of this immunity program, cannot rectify the situation. They basically have to allow the person to remain in the same position. The union and the FAA working together to basically use this program to gerrymander the statistics of near matter collisions. So we know that there is especially in 23 and 24, there was a lot of near misses. How many of those people had to be removed from their jobs or retrained? that maybe that didn't happen. And so, and again, if it starts at the hiring level, like I say often, the reason I'm skeptical of DEI programs, they say that they're going to help certain minority communities and this and that. No, they don't. They help the middle-class black kids and middle-class white women and middle-class whoever's, doing anything. It doesn't help poor communities. They're not hiring from poor communities. They're hiring from people who are already college level or whatever. So great. You're not helping any poor communities. You're not helping any demographics by doing these programs. You're probably helping people who are going to be there anyway. So anyway, lots of things on Trump blasting diversity hiring, Daily Caller. By the way, a Democratic representative doubles down on claim Trump contributed to the fatal aviation disaster. This is crazy. California Democrat Representative Norma Torres is doubling down on holding President Trump responsible for contributing to the fatal aircraft collision at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport Wednesday night, despite the president being in office just over a week. Torres fired off 2 tweets late Wednesday night and early Thursday morning, appearing to attribute the aviation disaster to executive actions Trump took related to federal hiring freeze and firing several agency heads. There's no indication that the president's actions contributed to the midair collision at all, a White House official told the Daily Caller. So this is, again, she's praying for the family, demanding answers, and she posts this: Trump's dangerous freeze of air traffic control hiring. You mean the ones that he inherited? I absolutely demand answers. All the families deserve answers. You deserve a straitjacket. I'm just saying. So let's see if I can put an archive version of that in the links today. I am not a robot. No, I am not. Oh, for fuck's sake. Crosswalks. There. That should be it. What? Is that a crosswalk? Oh, for fuck's sake. I hate when they do this. You know how much I hate. Those are buses. Do they count a bus as a car? Don't you hate these? Oh, there we go. No, I'm not a robot. And looks like good. Yeah, the full article will be in the links today. It was archived yesterday. All right, moving on. What else is on here? By the way, Pete Hegseth reveals more info on Army helicopter. That was from yesterday, so it's basically the same information. And again, 14 members of the U.S. figure skating team perished on American Airlines flight that crashed in D.C. I'm going to move past these. And then there's Pete Buttigieg's dumbass tweet. So there you go. So I've in the links today. I'm not going to go through all these, but there's several articles regarding this. Let's move on to something else. So Pacific Palisades, where the big fire was in California. Oh, maybe I'll skip these because I want to get to Q&A, and I cannot be late today. Well, I do want to do these two though. So apparently, in Los Angeles, Pacific Palisades in particular, where a large section of that neighborhood in California, very many wealthy homes and lots of people living there, is gone. They're talking about rebuilding it, right? So, in Battle, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass made her big play this week to rebuild Pacific Palisades in her own image. Needless to say, it won't be pretty. During what the Los Angeles Times called a freewheeling half-hour walking tour of Pacific Palisades with reporters and Chief Recovery Officer and former LAPD Commissioner Steve Soboroff, Bass announced that the city plans to hire an outside consultant to handle a significant rebuilding contract for areas devastated this month by the Palisades fire. They're going to represent you and make sure that everybody does exactly what they say they're going to do, Soboroff told reporters. Now, Pacific Palisades residents, so that has all the markings of a smart city, doesn't it? That they're, remember they're talking about those smart cities? Pacific Palisades residents were not so much consulted on the decision. Locals have had virtually no input into any of the decisions currently being made by the city and state officials. Most were only able to access their property for the first time on Monday after direct intervention from President Trump. Now, is that how representation works? When the mayor and her philanthropist pal Soboroff pick the firm that will make all the decisions? Like, look, if I'm going to go into my piece of property and I want to rebuild my house, why is the mayor telling me that they have one contractor that's going to make all the decisions for what's being made there? So Soboroff later clarified to Joel Pollack that the consultant will be an owner's representative to oversee the work of various agencies involved, much like a construction manager or building project, and that there would be a competitive bidding process for the role. In other words, this is going to take some time rather than a relatively simple process of homeowners filing their insurance claims and rebuilding once the money and the permits come through. Big-name consultants will spend big money on big-name contractors to give the Palisades a big government makeover. Indeed. So it sounds like they're going to kind of control how this goes. By the way, good morning, Lord Stanhope and Select a Boy.
Yeah, boy.
And of course, Gunfox, who is the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor. Now, another thing in California, apparently California Democrats have delayed passing that $50 million bill to fight the Trump administration. Remember, they were gonna allocate $50 million into fighting anything that President Trump does in California. The California State Assembly postponed a vote Thursday to approve a $50 million to fight President Trump's policies following a visit by the president to fire-ravaged Los Angeles, where Breitbart News raised the issue. Governor Gavin Newsom and the state's Democrats, who have supermajorities in both the houses of the legislature, struck the $50 million deal even as the fires were still raging in Pacific Palisades, Altadena, and elsewhere. The California State Assembly duly passed the $50 million in spending to fund lawsuits and other actions against the new Trump administration last week. During a town hall meeting in Pacific Palisades, the author of this article raised the point that California Democrats seem to have money to spend to fight Trump's policies, but want federal money to clean up the damage and rebuild. And then the author also suggested that Trump appoint a special master in the style of the September 11th Victims Compensation Fund to ensure that any federal money delivered to California actually be spent on rebuilding and not other priorities. So San Jose Mercury reported California Democrats in the state legislature were poised Thursday to approve $50 million to fund fresh and anticipated lawsuits against the Trump administration and fund legal defenses for immigrants facing deportation as part of a splashy special session called by Governor Gavin Newsom. But when members of the state assembly gathered in Sacramento on Thursday morning, Democrats broke into a private huddle for 45 minutes. When they emerged, they declined to vote on the proposal. The state Senate approved the plans last week, and the Democrats have said for months that the funding package is urgent. Well, I guess it's not that urgent when you're asking for money from the federal government. So there you go. Hello, Linda Hunter. Take the Olympics away from the inept, or they get rewarded for arson. Yeah, that's another consideration they got to think of. All right. Okay. I'm going to get Gunfox's one other article here, and then we're going to skip this. Well, there are a couple of articles here. One in Newsweek. Did the FAA reject air traffic controllers based on race? Well, here's how Newsweek sees this, because we read the other article. Complaints about the Federal Aviation Administration's hiring policy have resurfaced following the Ronald Reagan Washington National Aircraft disaster, including claims that candidates were rejected based on race. Newsweek has contacted the FAA for comment. Details surrounding the mid-air collision between a passenger jet and a military helicopter, which left as many as 67 people dead, are still emerging. President Trump has suggested diversity hiring programs were to blame, although he did not provide evidence to support the claim. They all like to say that, but then they all know about the class action suit. A scrutiny over the FAA's hiring policies was raised years before Wednesday's accident near Reagan National Airport. A major class action lawsuit has been filed against the federal agency over claims that applicants for air traffic controllers were rejected based on race. Now, this is funny because this is really a reversal of, things we needed the Civil Rights Act for, isn't it? That's wild. The original lawsuit was filed on behalf of Andrew Brigida, who claimed the FAA under the Obama administration dropped a skills-based system for hiring air traffic controllers and replaced it when biographical assessment, which was allegedly used to attract more minority applicants. Brigida, who is white and scored 100% on his training exam, said he was discriminated against because of his race when his application was rejected. In January 2014, Brigida received an email informing him that the FAA was implementing changes to improve and streamline the hiring process for air traffic controllers, and that his application was impacted by these changes, according to William Perry Penley, an attorney for the president of the Mountain States Legal Foundation, the firm handling the lawsuit. Mountain States Legal Foundation is representing hundreds of people from different racial backgrounds who say they were discriminated against under the FAA's hiring policy. The FAA and the Department of Transportation are contesting the lawsuit. The FAA's biological assessment was a screening tool used to assess applicants' behaviors and experiences. The test involved multiple choice questions and topics such as decision-making, handling pressure, and risk management. The FAA dropped the biographical assessment in 2018. Oh, so it was dropped in 2018. In a response to Congress passing a law banning its use, the FAA says on its website that the assessment was removed as a screening tool and all applicants are now required to take the Air Traffic Skills Assessment, which is the ATSA. So it's interesting. So fairness mean. Oh, that's interesting. So then they have what people are saying. So apparently, did it have some impact on? Did it have impact on the on hiring? Sounds like it probably did, right? They have another article on who is Joe Ellis. Oh, so Joe Ellis is transgender, but is not one of the pilots. Okay, there you go. It says right in the first line of the article. A transgender soldier has spoken out after being incorrectly named as one of the Black Hawk helicopter pilots who died in the collision with American Airlines plane in Washington, D.C. So there you go. There's if you needed to know, but Joe Ellis was not one of the pilots. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I am done with this. I have to get to Friday Q&A because, of course, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for Friday Q&A. All right, here we go. Good morning, Mrs. Wild Wolf, by the way. Nice to see you there. I can't see, but hello, my lord. Oh, I don't know if you're talking to me, but there you go. All right. Friday Q&A, let's get it on. First question today comes from Mr. Ty Alexander. What do you think will be the outcome of the ice shack hookers unionizing? I think there will be a lot of scabs, but that has nothing to do with unionizing. God, that's terrible. Gunfox 61, California exit. If they try it, do you support California government having a military governor for 50 years? Do I support it? For them having a military governor? I don't care. First of all, California is not going to secede from the union. It's just not going to happen. They can talk about it, but it ain't going to happen. Texas, the Texas legislature we're talking about that at one point too. I think it's silly. I think it's a silly idea. All right. Avocados Diabli asks, if you thought you were safe because I am not, you thought you were safe because I'm not here, didn't you? No, I'm trying to figure out where the hell are you? Are you still here? I see your name on here, but you're not in the chat. So we'll see what happens. All right. Avocado Diabli says, if someone were going to make a life-size sculpture of you out of cheese, what cheese would you prefer? Oh, sharp cheddar, of course. Now, you know they do that kind of shit at the state fair. Although at our state fair, they make the state fair queen, they always make a gigantic life-size sculpture out of butter. But for me, it would have to be sharp cheddar cheese because I'm a sharp-dressed man. Avocados Diabli, is kidnapping someone, erasing their memory, giving them a sex change, and telling them they were in a car crash and named Edna too far as a prank? Oh, AD, with these very specific questions. No, I think that'd be pretty fucking funny. So, anyway, Gunbox asks, police caught Tim Walz under a horse, making the horse very happy. They also caught Shank from TYT with another horse. Numerous horses have filed child support claims against Shank. I don't know if that's a question. All I can say is, Lord Stanhope asks, tonight ends dry January, and I successfully spent it dry. Will you and the lads accept my gratitude for wishing me luck? Absolutely. That's fantastic. Good for you. Lord Stanhope says, if Nigeria joined BRICS, wouldn't it be Brinks? Yes. It's the brink of catastrophe. Lord Stanhope asks, do the people who back BRICS understand that not only are the member nations in poor and to dire economic circumstances, but also the main members despise each other? Yeah, that's the other weird thing about it, man. Because, you got Russia, India, and China. Do they even get along? I mean, they kind of do. China and Russia are sometimes cooperative, but I don't know that any of them actually like each other. And definitely with India in there. India doesn't like China. I don't know, man. I don't know if they know. They don't know. They don't know. Isn't Singapore the other? Isn't that the S in Brinks, Singapore? I don't know. All right. Lord Stanhope asks, if they are finding high-powered jobs for the developmentally disabled and mentally ill, why do they ignore America's newest minority, the morbidly obese? Yeah, I think they need to increase the number of morbidly obese air traffic controllers, or just put them on the runway as stop bump, speed bumps or something. God, I can't believe I said that. Where are we at? Gunfox asks, Gunfox says, it doesn't look like a question. Horses' births are up after Chank was in town, a new report says. In the horse fair, horses are blaming Chank for having more foals, and one farmer caught Chank deep in one of his horses 5 times after I don't know the last 2. These reports are disturbing, Gunfox, and I certainly don't feel like I want to investigate that any further. So there you go. Lord Stanhope asks, why have no DEI efforts ever addressed the needs of America's most discriminated and marginalized people, drunks and drug addicts? Well, now, not so fast. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to guess that there are probably somewhere in America, a DEI initiative for drunks and drug addicts. I'm just saying, I can't confirm it or deny it, but I'm going to guess that there probably is. Lord Stanhope asks, why does no one want the diversity brought by America's most discriminated, reviled minority, people with face tattoos? Because they look dumb. And you know what? They did that to themselves. So I can't, I don't get it. Lord Stanhope, what's for dinner? Oh, I think Lady Boomer and I are going to go to our favorite burger joint tonight. I think so, because she's back, by the way. I'm so happy she's back. It's been a while. She's been gone for a week. Lord Stanhope, what's worse, constipation or incontinence? Ew. Well, incontinence, because it's gross. I mean, why you can't control it? I mean, I'd rather have constipation and take some Senna or X-Lax or something than not be able to control my poops or my peeps. Lord Stanhope, will you have a good weekend? Yeah, because Lady Boomer's back. We're gonna go see something this weekend. We don't know what yet though. Selector Boy asks, how bad will the quality of fast food? How bad will the quality of fast food go in the long run? It depends, because there's always there's fast food places that are popping up all over the place, and some of them are actually pretty good. So I think competition in fast food kind of helps, maybe improves the quality. Like, for example, okay, so McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's were kind of the dominant three for a long time. But there are a lot of states where, for example, Culver's has grown and has become a popular option. Five Guys, and I'm just talking in the burger realm. There's a lot of different places that are popping up that have higher quality products, and people are flocking to those instead. And it's probably going to force McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's to step up their game. So I don't know I don't eat a lot of fast food anyway, but yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Lord Stanhope, as a professional bartender, what's the best spritz, Aperol, Campari, or Cynar? I cannot stand Campari, and I don't know what necessarily those other ones are, so I guess I'm just not so much a professional bartender anymore. Gunfox says, California to start the first 15-minute city scene in China. California government, real masters, because we know how the CCP owns California. Look, and that what is it called? Was it called the 15-minute seat? I think that's what they're going to try to do in Pacific Palisades. I know they're scheming for something, and they got to rebuild a lot of shit before the Olympics. And they're going to try to make this model city out of Pacific Palisades. And the people who are from there, live there, own property there, I think they're going to be pissed off in the long run. So, Lord Stanhope, serious. Have you ever tried rye with Dr. Pepper? No, I've never mixed any alcohol with Dr. Pepper. I hear that there are certain alcohols that Dr. Pepper would be good with. I have a hard time believing it. But I'm not really into the super sweet drinks at all. And so I don't know if that would be a little too sweet for my taste. I can handle an old fashioned with a little bit of muddled sugar, but I'm not into the sweet drinks that much. Avocados Diabli, if you were invited to what you thought was a normal barbecue, only to discover that it was the last meal as a suicide cult, would you grab a to-go plate before you beat a hasty retreat? Well, my concern, I guess, would be if it's a suicide cult and this is their last meal, I'd probably avoid just about anything on the buffet, because that last meal might be the cause of their demise. And so there you go. Ms. Wildwood asks, what is your favorite hobby? That's a good question. Well, this right here might be my favorite hobby, but also in that realm would be golf. Avocados Diabli, are you familiar with the channel Chat Music? They set comments to social media posts to music. No. Wow. I need to check that out. I have seen a lot of, and this may be that channel, but I've seen them. Oh, you know what? Didn't they do the ones about, I've seen them done with what do you call it? Like direct messages where they, like there's one on Bob's, if you know what that's about. So I've seen similar channels. I don't know if it's that specific channel. Ms. Wildwolf asks, what is the length of a term you feel is fair for all congregational parties? Length of a term you feel is fair for all congregational parties. Do you mean like in hours? I don't think any part hour should be more than 3 hours. I don't know why I think that. I don't know. Lord Stand Up asks, can we say a prayer for AD loud or silent? Let's just have a moment of silence for AD. All right, thank you very much. Avocados Diablo asks, speaking of suicide cults, if you were going to start your own, what would you call it? What would I call it? Probably the Night Riders. The Night Riders into the Abyss. Night Riders into the Abyss. That sounds like a good name for a suicide cult. Select Boy asks, if Trump ever bought Greenland, would it be the 52nd state? Well, I don't know what the 51st is, but no, I think it'd be more like Panama, where we wouldn't really buy it, but it would just be affiliated with us. Avocados Diablo asks, why do we call it fast food even? I have never once had a burger even move slowly. And if it did, I think I would have a bigger problem than its speed. Yeah, you don't want your burger to be moving. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the last question on Friday Q&A. And it comes from Avocados Diablo, who asks, is there any musician who didn't die of a heroin overdose that you wish had? Well, that's a trick question. That's a trick question because I think Keith Richards died of a heroin overdose in like 1982. But for some reason he's still playing in the band. At least he looks like he died of a heroin overdose. No, I would not wish a heroin overdose on anybody. So there you go. And no, avocado stops. But is this the last question for real? No, I guess it worked. All right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. Let me just get these articles in the links. There's a bunch of them, and I'll put the aggregator in. I'm gonna start putting the aggregator in every day because I don't always necessarily need to open all these articles every day. So there we go. Let's click that correctly. Holy shit, there's a lot of stuff in there today. All right, there we go. Bing, bada. Holy shit, my computer sucks. Give me a moment, please. 5, 4, there we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. And my local channel's in there. And, okay, come on. There we go. All right. Here's today's links. They're in the chat. I'll drop them in the description also. And that's it for today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the Morning Night Live. I'll be back Monday. Same time, same channel, of course. And, that's it. Thank you. Gotta go. My name is P Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Oops. Hey, this is P Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.